Welcome back to day one of Bahamas with Bob at the Island House Invitational Triathlon. We are sponsored by Island House, by the great folks at Cervelo. Gatorade Endurance, our charity partner, is More Than Sport, and you can check out all of our interviews on Babbittville.com and on Babbittville Radio. Our next guests, Heather and Trevor Wurtele. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good to be here. Thanks, Bob.
This is a couples weekend. I think it's pretty fun. All the different couples racing. It's like there's bragging rights for the fastest couple here. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, we should talk about putting a prize in. for
Don't you
that,
think?
actually.
Yeah, fastest couple combined time. I think this is good. This should be another element to the whole race. Yeah.
Now, with this year, they're adding a little more non-drafting to it. You like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to suit our strengths, especially being able to ride the TT bike. I think is the
Yes.
main thing for us. Last year it was a little more difficult on the road bike. So yeah, I mean that said, the distances of the race, it's
It
a
adds
lot of
up to about a
sprint.
70.3 or
right,
something like that.
right.
Yeah.
So over the course of it, we're in good shape. But the short, fast parts too. I mean, it's not like the Olympic distance guys aren't strong and all that either. So
Exactly.
it's going to be a really good fight.
Trevor, do you like the sort of the mix where you get to mix it up with some of these Olympic folks who you might not have ever raced before?
Yeah, it's nice to have that competition and just compare yourself to those high-octane speedsters for sure. I know a couple of them we train with, Joe and Eric. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and Magali too. You know, they're certainly no slouches when it comes to riding a TT bike. So it's going to be fun to go up against them, and of course, all the best in the world too.
So going back a little bit, was there ever that Olympic format? Was that ever in the plans for either of you, or was it always, you know what, I think I'm better long?
Yeah, no, we had always knew right away that we were better at long course stuff. I mean, we only learned to swim as adults, so we sort of could never even hit that Olympic swimming standard.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, the biggest disadvantage for us there is like, okay, let's try and not lose as much as we can on the swim sort of thing, you
Yeah.
know? I think we've always also, being strong cyclists, preferred the non-draft where you have your nose in the wind and
Yeah.
it's up to you to do it on the day and not have those pack dynamics. But honestly, last year was the first time I had ever done a sprint distance event and a non-draft sprint, and so it was a year first, so that was really fun.
So as a couple, how do you guys balance things between racing, training, being a couple? Who does one person do the cooking? Do you rotate?
No, I'd say the balance is pretty even across the board. I mean, we're both out there training pretty much the same efforts all the time. I mean, we may train separately, but we're doing the same thing, and then we're both tired at the end of the day, so we got to cook some dinner, and yeah, we don't relegate one
Draw
person to
straws
that.
and say, okay, I rode 80 miles, you rode 50, you cook.
Yeah, sometimes we might do that, like, oh, who burned more kilojoules today? It's usually him, so that argument doesn't necessarily
work for you.
I get to eat more of the
You just
food.
eat more of the food, yeah. But we're pretty good at sharing, cooking, cleaning, and in a way it's good that we're both doing it because we both respect how tired you are and how,
Sure.
and so it's nice that we sort of divide it up and each do.
So you're coming off 70.3, podium 70.3 Worlds, right? Getting a third there. And that people talk about the field in Kona. The field at 70.3 Worlds has gotten pretty much equivalent to that. Coming away with that, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was thrilled this year with my finish at 70.3 Worlds. I mean, yeah, like you said, the racing is so competitive. It's great to see, especially the women's field, just the depth is there and it's fast, competitive racing. So that was great. I'm definitely thrilled with that. And so, yeah, coming into this, it's just really fun. You have some of the best long course people in the world, the best short course people that otherwise I wouldn't get to race. And so it's just really a fun environment, seeing everyone's different strengths at the different aspects of it. And
Trevor, when you look back at your racing, what do you look at as your best race? A race where and that wasn't necessarily the way I would look at it and go, oh, you got second here, you won this. When you look back at it, what was the most important race for you?
Yeah, I mean, the races that stick in my mind the most, I think there was one race, I forget what year it was, in New Orleans, where I was racing with Raylert right up front. I mean, that was something that I remember vividly in my head, running up to him late in the run, and just we kind of battled it out late in the day in the final mile. So that was pretty cool. I remember that for sure. And Ironman Canada 2013, the one I won. I mean, that's
being Canadian, that's not
yeah,
bad
it
thing.
was a big event and something I really wanted to win that year. So I really put a lot of focus into it, and to come out on top was is a really good feeling for sure.
I have a hard time imagining when we first started talking. I think first time we talked about it on the phone, you were telling me about living in a motorhome, and I didn't realize you guys are big people, right? Right? I think of tiny house nation. So if someone's living in a motorhome, they're 5'5", and it's no big deal. They can tuck under a sink. They can do all that type of stuff. How hard was it for you guys? I mean, you have to sort of pass each other sideways.
Yeah. Like we didn't really think of it as hard at the time because we were fully committed to doing what we wanted to do, and that was being professional triathletes.
Yes.
And it allowed us the freedom to do that and go wherever we wanted to go and save a bit of money. And so we didn't really think of it as a burden or a hardship. Once we got a place, I mean, now we're out of the RV. We have a place in Kona.
We're out of the RV.
Yeah. Now, when we get back into it in the winter for 2 or 3 months at a time, that's a hardship.
Is it really?
It's like, wow, we're really cramped in here.
It seems too small after being in the motorhome.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, because you have perspective then. There, when we committed, that was all we had, right? So you weren't
You
thinking
got rid of
everything.
You put everything in storage.
I can't put my arms above my head, or like you didn't think of it like that because it was just your home. But now that you have a real home with the real countertops in the kitchen and stuff, you're like, oh, that's
it's more nowadays. It's more like, wow, we don't really have to be in this space. Whereas before it was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
But there's also a positive to that. It's not like, oh, I forgot this somewhere. Everything you own is basically there. And when you go to a race site, I'm sure there were times you're like, hey, we're 5 feet from the start of the race.
Yeah, that was always great. You had your own stuff, your own bed, your own pillows, and like all of your race equipment was with you, so you really couldn't forget anything.
Yes.
Which was
your own potty. That's always nice before a race.
And what was nice too was often people fly into a race and fly out, and they don't really ever get to experience.
That's a really good point.
The community and the environment around. But we would drive there and spend a few weeks, and so it was nice because we got to make a lot of connections with people. In various places and see a bit more of the areas where we were racing, which we really appreciated as well.
So when you look, is your season over after this? You need a little time off because it's been, these seasons get longer and longer.
Yeah,
you start adding Bahrain and Dubai, and you're racing in November, December, and January.
Yeah, so this is our last race for sure. We started, first race of the year was Monterey, Mexico. So that would have been early March.
Oh my God.
And then pretty much not much of a break, really, just kind of training and racing through the year. We're ready to take a break now.
Do you guys try to do the same races, or do you find it's tough when you're both racing the same race, or one can be supporting the other one? What works best for you guys?
We actually prefer to do the same races. We like it when we're on the sort of same training schedule, because if one is resting and the other one is training hard, the person who's resting would be like, hey, it'd be nice if you could support me, but the other person's training hard, so it's better, I feel, if we're in the same place and gunning up for the same event and sort of have the same empathy and compassion when it comes to nerves and what you need to get done and everything. So we really enjoyed doing. The only difference this year was Trevor did Ironman Canada and I went to Challenge Iceland, but otherwise this year we'd done pretty much all the same races. So. And
you were talking about Challenge Iceland as just one of the most incredible venues you'd ever seen.
Yeah, I loved that race. Those are my lava fields of choice, I gotta say, up in Iceland.
Because it's a little chillier.
A little chillier, just epic landscape, really lovely people that are just like embracing triathlon, and there's all these geothermally heated outdoor pools, and I definitely really recommend going to that race.
So 18 times, is that still 18 or is it more now?
It might be more now. I haven't caught.
I wouldn't. Exactly. It's right around there.
Yeah.
Okay, but 18 times, 70.3 and a half champion. Is that your distance?
It's hard to say.
You also won 6 Ironmans.
Right, and my focus earlier in my career was more on Ironman, and I sort of shifted to 70.3s because I really love the distance. You can race more, and having been on the World Champs podium the past 3 years in a row, I felt like I was really gunning for that win there, so I've focused less on fulls.
Yes.
But I feel like if I were to focus again on fulls, that I would be really strong at that as well. But I like the halves.
You like racing too.
I like racing. I like racing a lot. I find it difficult to structure my year and put so much emphasis on Kona and miss all these other races because I love racing.
Well, and you never know. You get a drafting call, you have a stomach ache, and
it's a lot to put on to one day.
It's a crapshoot, right? Because the problem with that race, it's not the heat and the wind; it's the freaking competition.
Yeah.
If you have a 2-minute down spell during a bike, all of a sudden you're in 30th. That's what makes.
Yeah, you really to do well in Kona. I mean, you have to take those chances that you're gonna, maybe blow up, and quite often that happens. So,
Trevor, what's been your best race in Kona?
I wouldn't say I had a good race in Kona ever.
Not anything up to your capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, the last part of the run, for both times I've done it as a professional, it just really fizzled out more than I obviously wanted to.
Yeah.
But again, we focused on races throughout the year, and I wasn't really focused on trying to get to Kona. I just had good races through the year, and I got there, and I got the spot to race. And then
If you get the spot, it's not like you're walking away from the lottery ticket, right? It's hard.
I don't know. You know, the previous 2 years, I didn't want to go to Kona because
Really?
I wanted to do some other races.
Yeah.
It's going to Kona's, I mean, it's a losing money venture if you're not in the top 10. So
It's really true.
Unless you feel you can be top 10, I guess it's good for sponsors.
Yes.
I mean, that's one way to look at it. They want to see you on the start line. But at the same time, you give up a lot being there.
You know what the reality is? I think for a lot of sponsors who are over there, they're happier if you're not racing, so that you're available to go make appearances for them all week long.
And that's kind of what I was doing the previous years when Heather was racing. I was over there and I was
You keep
kinda
training,
taking-
Heather. You
yeah.
keep doing that.
I'll go to the expo
I'll go.
and do, yeah.
I'm going to
Which
go
is
to
nice.
Bob's. Thank God I'm not racing party. But you know what? You should get to bed early.
Yeah, taking care of her expo time and sponsor time is kind of sharing
That's
the
a-
load that way. So it's good, yeah.
But that's also a workout, right? When you're doing all those type of commitments.
Yeah, being out there in the sun and stuff, man, you gotta. This year we said, okay, we're gonna have Thursday, Friday not in the expo. So
Right.
we did everything we could to get everything done on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then come Thursday and Friday, you're just fully focused on the race, and that did work well.
What's your favorite race, Trevor? Do you have one?
St. George for 70.3s,
Yeah.
and I love the Whistler course for Ironman.
Yeah. So you like the courses that are more challenging, maybe
Yeah.
a little, of course, I should say it's a little cooler, but sometimes St. George could be 100 degrees.
Yeah, hot and dry, I have no problem with. Even, I mean, in Kona this year, I didn't have any issues with the heat. It
Yeah.
was just a physical thing. So I don't mind hot, I don't mind cold. Yeah, those are my two favorite venues in terms of challenging terrain. Just really hard bike courses, hard runs too.
Yeah. You're both coached by Paolo?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does he bring to the table for you, Trev?
He's really we've been working with him now for, I guess this is our 6th season
Yeah.
with him. He's really helped with my belief that I can be at the front of the races. So every race I go to, I feel like I'm able to compete at the pointy end and aim for the podium. The first year or two I was with him, that was definitely an issue, just having that confidence, the belief that I was strong enough to be there, and that's probably the biggest thing. And also, he's just shown us how hard we can train. I mean, before working with him, we always thought we were training hard, but really, I mean, there's another level.
Not quite.
Yeah, and it's interesting,
Yeah.
the things, when you're with a coach for a long-term process, what you can sustain year after year after year. You know, you can train that much harder, and you can just elevate yourself. So it's been really good to have that long-term coaching relationship with him. Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, you're training with some, Joe Malloy, you got Olympians out there, you got Eric, who won both Alcatraz and Beijing. So you're training with world-class guys on a daily basis. How important is that to be with a group? Because sometimes it's hard to get motivated to run.
I mean,
or
it's been
something
great seeing those guys improve too.
Yes.
I mean, when they came to the squad, with Joe was he joined up, I guess, a year after we did, and just seeing where he is now compared to where he was when he joined, and Eric too. I mean, man, it's awesome. Yeah.
And you guys, you had met in high school?
Yes, we were Chemistry 11 partners in high school.
Chemistry 11.
Yeah.
Now,
we've
did you
been
like
friends
each
for a
other
long
right
time.
away?
We were good friends, but we weren't dating or anything in high school.
But it was what? There was something. Was it you crashed or Heather crashed?
That was a while later. So that was, I mean,
That was in
after
college.
high school.
Because
we
after
went
high school, you guys.
Kind of
Yeah,
went
did our
separate
own thing.
ways, did our
Yeah.
own thing. And we met up again in Victoria. I was doing my master's, and
Yeah.
Trev was going to college there as well. And we were mountain biking, and I had a really bad crash and landed on my bar end and almost broke my femur, but massive hematoma in the hospital. And he was there by my bedside, made me a mix CD, so that sealed the deal pretty much. Then.
Okay, what was on the mix CD? Come on now.
All sorts of
some
stuff.
cranberries
Yeah,
definitely
chili
on there.
peppers, all sorts of things. But no, it was good.
You had her at Chili Peppers. That is really cool. And did you guys both go pro together? Pretty much.
Yeah, I started maybe a year before Trevor.
Yeah, I think you did your first pro race at Wildflower, maybe 2007.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would have been 2008, my first elite race. Yeah.
And when you watched her race as a pro, did you think, okay, I should be doing this too?
Well, you kind of accidentally raced as
Yeah.
a pro at Vineman. They just put him in.
No,
the
it wasn't Vineman. It was
Oh,
Lake Stevens.
Lake
Oh,
Stevens,
they
yeah.
sort of put you in the pro division?
Yeah, I went to the sign-up table with her, and they just kind of assumed they got my category wrong, so threw me in the pro division.
And how'd
I was
you do?
still racing 25 or 24,
Yeah.
25, 29,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that was. It was fine. Yeah, I think I was 15th or something.
Yeah.
And, yeah, definitely the most nervous I've ever been on a start line.
You're like, who are all these people? That is funny.
But yeah, it went well. And
Yeah,
so-
and from there I just pulled out my elite license for the rest of that season, and then from there going forward, just trying to improve every year.
Love it. Well, first of all, congratulations on everything you guys have done.
Thanks, Bob.
And have fun out there. This next 3 days is going to be interesting, or actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, we're really
Hopefully
looking forward
Sunday.
to it.
Hopefully Sunday.
Yes,
That's
and
new,
Sunday.
right? This
Yeah.
year, it's top 10 men and women qualify to race Sunday.
Right.
And that's a non-drafting sprint.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was last year, but it was our time. Everyone qualified, and it was your time deficit from the
the
previous
leader.
days, which is a really cool.
It was a really
way
cool
to do
format.
it.
as well.
Yeah.
And I like that enduro. You know, that
I know, it's gonna be interesting.
swim, run,
Swim,
bike,
run, bike, swim, run.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the,
And the time trials too. I mean,
Yes.
it's going to be interesting just to do one event, stop, do
Yes.
another one, stop, do another one.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, because really nobody has an advantage because nobody's ever done this.
That's true.
yeah, there we go. Perfect. Level the playing field, maybe.
All right, Heather and Trevor Wurtele have been our guests. Again, this is Bahamas with Bob. Hold on, everybody. We will be right